Picture this, you're chilling in your own backyard, minding your damn business with a simple barbecue setup, when suddenly flashlights pierce the night and your own neighbors, led by the self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac, have you zip-tied like a common criminal, screeching about community standards violations that don't even apply. But here's the kicker. The woman behind it all, with her fake smile and iron-fisted rules, is about to watch her throne crumble when her dirty real estate scams come tumbling out, turning her from HOA enforcer to federal felon. Buckle up, folks, because this tale of suburban sabotage is going to make you laugh through your rage and cheer when karma hits like a freight train. It started innocently enough in Willow Creek Estates, a cookie-cutter neighborhood on the outskirts of Sacramento, California, you know, the kind of place where every house looks like it was stamped from the same beige mold, and the biggest excitement is the annual block party that nobody actually enjoys. I'd inherited my modest ranch-style home from my late aunt, a quiet spot with a decent backyard that backed onto a small wooded area, perfect for escaping the daily grind. Me? I'm Alex Rivera, a freelance graphic designer in my mid-40s, recently divorced and trying to keep my head down after some ugly rumors spread by my ex about why our marriage tanked. Whispers of me being unstable or lazy. The kind of crap that sticks in a small community like gum on a shoe. I didn't fight it back then. I figured silence was golden, and I'd just focus on my work. Maybe set up a hammock or a fire pit on weekends to unwind. But oh boy, that was before Eleanor Hargrove stormed into town like she owned the deed to everyone's soul. Eleanor was the epitome of the transplanted busybody, 55. Sharp as a tack in her designer pantsuits, with hair that screamed, "I spend more on highlights than you do on rent." She'd moved from some upscale enclave in Seattle 2 years prior, buying the McMansion at the end of the street with its 3-car garage and impeccable lawn that looked like it was mowed with nail scissors. Within months, she'd maneuvered her way onto the HOA board, then straight to president, preaching about elevating property values and fostering community harmony in emails that dripped with passive-aggressive honey. Dear residents, one read, let's all do our part to maintain the aesthetic integrity that makes Willow Creek so special. No unsightly decorations. Please. A chuckle at first, thinking it was harmless. But deep down, I sensed the rot. Her rules were less about order and more about control, like she got a thrill from measuring fence heights at dawn. Our first brush came on a crisp autumn evening. I was in the backyard, stringing up some fairy lights for a solo chill session, nothing fancy, just enough to read by without the glare of porch floods. The crunch of tires on asphalt pulled me from my reverie, and there she was, Eleanor, flanked by her cronies, Bob Wilkins, a retired accountant with a perpetual squint like he was auditing your soul, and Marjorie Klein, the neighborhood gossip queen who'd turn a sneeze into a scandal. Mr. Rivera, Eleanor cooed, her voice all saccharine with that undertone of steel, clipboard thrust forward like a bayonet. We've received reports of non-compliant lighting installations. Per Section 4.2 of the Covenants, all external illuminations must be pre-approved to avoid light pollution. She handed me a violation notice, crisp as fresh bills, demanding removal within 48 hours or face a $200 fine. I blinked, keeping my cool. Remember, I'd been painted as the troubled one, so no outbursts from me. Ma'am, these are just string lights, not a Vegas marquee. And my property line extends back here. It's not even visible from the street. Her smile didn't budge, that predatory gleam in her eyes. Rules are rules, Alex. We can't have exceptions. Or where would we be? Anarchy in the suburbs. Bob nodded sagely, muttering about precedents, while Marjorie snapped a quick photo on her phone, no doubt for the HOA's private Facebook group where they dissected problem residents like me. I bit my tongue, nodded politely, and watched them drive off in Eleanor's gleaming Audi, its blessed bumper sticker mocking me. Inside, I seethed but stayed silent, filing the notice away. Little did I know, this was just the appetizer in her feast of pettiness. As weeks turned to months, the violations piled up like junk mail. First, it was the lights. Then, my compost bin, potential odor nuisance. I complied quietly, not wanting to fuel the rumors that I was difficult. But whispers started circulating. Did you hear about Alex? He's turning his yard into a junkyard. I'd catch neighbors giving me side-eye at the mailbox, and my freelance gigs dipped as word spread in local circles. Eleanor was masterful at it, dropping hints in board meetings about certain individuals undermining our values. I overheard her at a community picnic, voice carrying like a foghorn. It's about respect, really. Some people think they can flout the guidelines because of personal issues. The jab at my divorce stung, but I observed, noted every email, every anonymous complaint that smelled of her vanilla perfume. One Saturday, I decided to push back subtly. I planted a small vegetable garden in the back. Nothing flashy, just tomatoes and herbs for fresh salsa. Harmless, right? Wrong. Monday brought a certified letter. Unauthorized agricultural activity, violation of residential zoning aesthetics. Cease immediately or incur escalating fines. I stared at it over coffee, the bitterness matching my brew. This wasn't about tomatoes. It was about her flexing, proving she could make anyone dance to her tune. I didn't rip it up. Instead, I started digging not in the dirt, but online. Public records, HOA minutes, property deeds. Turns out, Eleanor's own house had a sunroom addition that skirted setback rules by a foot, approved under dubious circumstances during her board takeover. Interesting. But I kept quiet, biding my time, letting her think I was the pushover she'd labeled me. The real fun began when she escalated to surveillance. I'd notice her car idling at the curb, binoculars glinting. Then, Ring camera footage from neighbors accidentally shared in the group chat, capturing my every move. For safety, she claimed in an all-residents email. We must document potential infractions to protect our investments. One night, I caught Bob lurking near my fence with a measuring tape, just checking boundaries. He stammered when I shone a light on him. Eleanor said, "Yeah, I bet she did." The neighborhood buzz grew. Alex is non-compliant. He's bringing down values. My email inbox filled with concerned messages, some from folks I'd barbecued with years ago. It hurt, but I documented it all, timestamps, screenshots, even a discreet trail cam I set up after researching legal privacy rights. Patience, I told myself, as the tension built like a storm cloud over suburbia. By spring, Eleanor had turned the screws full tilt. She rallied the board for a special assessment, extra dues to fund enforcement tools, like hiring a private inspector who just happened to be her nephew from Seattle. Fines hit $500 when I left my recycling bin out an hour past pickup. Visual blight. The mumbles at the local diner turned to outright avoidance. I was the pariah now, thanks to her smear machine. Poor Alex, they'd say behind my back. But rules are rules. I'd smile through it, but inside, I was piecing together her puzzle. A deep dive into county archives revealed her pattern. Previous HOAs in Washington and Oregon where she'd ousted boards, harassed undesirables, and bingo properties sold cheap to affiliates who flipped them for profit. Her brother ran a realty firm that suspiciously benefited each time. Black humor hit me. Here she was, preaching morality while running a suburban shakedown racket. I confided in my ex, Lisa, over a tense coffee meetup. We'd split amicably enough, but the rumors had strained things. "This Eleanor sounds like a classic bully," she said, eyes narrowing. As a paralegal, she had access to databases I didn't. "Let me poke around." 2 days later, she texted, "Jackpot." Her last gig in Portland? Forced out a widow with endless citations. Bought the house via shell company. Sold for 40% markup. The pieces clicked. This wasn't random. It was a scam, and I was her latest mark. My troubled rep making me easy prey. But I stayed mum, letting her dig deeper into absurdity. At a board meeting I finally attended, she pontificated, "We must uphold standards for the greater good, even if it means tough love for challenging members." Her eyes flicked to me, that smug curl to her lip. "Any questions, Mr. Rivera?" I shook my head, smiling faintly. "None at all, Madam President." "Carry on." The absurdity peaked when she formed her compliance patrol. Volunteers with vests and clipboards, patrolling like mini dictators. They'd knock at odd hours. "Your grass is 0.5 inches over limit, mow by noon." One evening, as I grilled a burger in peace, sirens wailed. Cops at my door. Called on a suspicious smoke report. Eleanor stood across the street, phone out, filming with that triumphant grin. "Just ensuring safety," she called over. The officer, a young guy named Ruiz, apologized profusely. "Ma'am insisted it was a fire hazard." I nodded, calm as ever. "No worries, officer. Happens all the time around here." But that night, I emailed Lisa, "Time to counter." We compiled the dossier, her violations, financial ties, witness statements from past victims we tracked down via social media. The irony? Her own overreach provided the ammo. Trespass timestamps from my cams, forged inspection reports. Tensions boiled over at the annual HOA election meeting, held in the community center that smelled of stale coffee and desperation. Eleanor strutted in, agenda in hand, ready to renew her reign. "Fellow residents," she began, voice booming, "under my leadership, we've elevated Willow Creek. But threats persist. Non-compliance erodes our foundation." Murmurs of agreement from her loyalists, but I sensed cracks. A few neighbors avoided her gaze, weary of the fines and spying. When public comments opened, I stood, binder in hand. "Madam President," a word on transparency. Her eyes narrowed, but she waved me on with feigned grace. "Of course, Alex. We're all about open dialogue." I laid it out methodically, projecting docs on the screen, her property flips, embezzled dues funneled to her kin's firm, even emails boasting about softening up targets. "This isn't governance. It's graft," I said evenly, as gasps rippled. Eleanor's face flushed, that polished facade cracking. "Slander. These are fabrications from a disgruntled resident with personal demons." But the room shifted. Bob fidgeted. Marjorie paled. Then Lisa stepped up, flashing her credentials. "Actually, these are public records. And here's a subpoena from the state AG's office for your financials." Chaos erupted, shouts. Phones out, recording. Eleanor banged her gavel. "This meeting is adjourned. You're all in violation." But it was too late. The patrol turned on her. One confessing, "She made us spy," said it was for the community. The fallout was swift and savage. FBI swooped in days later, raiding her McMansion at dawn, boxes of ledgers carted out as neighbors gawked. Turns out, her scam spanned 4 states, netting millions by preying on the vulnerable, all under the HOA banner. Eleanor, cuffed and screeching about witch hunts, was hauled away, her blessed Audi impounded. The press ate it up, suburban sovereign dethroned in fraud bust. I watched from my porch, sipping coffee, as her empire crumbled, houses seized, victims compensated, her board dissolved. The neighborhood exhaled. Barbecues returned without fear, gardens bloomed unchecked. Me, vindicated, gigs poured in, rumors died. We even turned her old house into a community hub for legal aid against such tyrants. 6 months on, Willow Creek thrives. No more clipboard Nazis, just folks being folks. Eleanor's doing 5 years federal time. Her network busted, restitution flowing. Lisa and I, friends again, running workshops on spotting HOA scams. The lake wait, my backyard oasis, hosts kid fishing derbies now, laughter echoing where sirens once wailed. Reforms hit statewide, mandatory audits, anti-harassment laws. My trail cams, now wildlife spots for a blog. And Eleanor, last I heard, she's appealing from prison, still preaching standards. Karma's a beaut, ain't it? But here's the question to chew on. In a world where community gets twisted into control, is the real villain the rulemonger like Eleanor, or the silent neighbors who let her reign until it bit them too?